email, have you seen those little pink slips that you get messages on that say at the top, while you were out? You know, and they've got the little boxes and the little slips. Does anyone still use them? They seem sort of old-fashioned and nostalgic today, don't they, in regard to the amount of email that we get and the voicemails that we use, don't we? Well, today my message to you is the workforce has changed. While you were out, while I was out, while we were all out going to school, working for a living, raising a family, the workforce changed on us. And that always reminds me of a story about my mom and dad. So I use them a lot because I learned a lot from them about generations. They used the American flag to celebrate things. Not just the standard holidays, but that flag went up when I came back from Boy Scout camp. That flag was up waiting for me. The neighborhood always knew something was up. When my brothers came back from their service, the flag was, of course, up. If I got an A on my report card, I didn't get $1, I got the American flag. And that tradition just lasted forever, and of course it taught us values. Another value that we taught that's very traditional was this. Anybody who grew up in my neighborhood ought to be able to answer this question, or fill in this sentence. Yes, what? Sir. Sir, exactly. That's the right answer to that question in my household. Or alternatively, yes, what? Ma'am, the only two options. Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. That was a get-out-of-jail-free card in my house. So some of the fun names that I like are the me generation. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The Pepsi generation. Nice job, Pepsi. Right? Good job. We're also the yippies, the hippies, the yuppies, and the dinks. Does anybody know what dinks stands for?
Double income.
A lot of you know. Double income, no kids. Very good. So what's fun about this is that baby boomers get to change their names over time. My dad told me a story. In one of his last months on Earth, he told me a little story. He called me over. He was very weak. He said, Tommy. So, yeah, Dad, what do you need? What is it? I've discovered something about growing older. Dad, what is it you discovered? Well, I've discovered the last phase. And then I know my dad pretty well, so I think, there's a gag in this somewhere. He says, yeah. I said, go ahead, Dad, what's the last phase? So he says, well, you know, you start out as a baby, and then you're a toddler, and then you're a child, right? And then you become a teenager, and then a young adult, and then you're midlife, and then pretty soon you're a senior, and then you're a golden year. So, yeah, okay, Dad, what's the last phase? He says it's called, gee, you're looking great. Never lost his sense of humor. So like the baby boomers, we get to change our names as we go along. And thank goodness for Parade Magazine, because we now know the new name for the baby boomers. Have you seen this yet? The baby boomers get to change their names. The baby boomers aren't growing older. They're moving into a new phase that Gail Sheehy calls, are you ready for this? The age of mastery. Oh yeah, baby boomers don't get older, we get more masterful. Only us, only we get to do that. And by the way, big cover article. Life begins at 60. Life begins at 60. What did they say 10 years ago? Life at 50, right. I'm 50. Remember that? Saturday Night Live? I'm 50, so now we're 60. In 10 years, life will begin at 70. Because baby boomers don't get older, we get more masterful. So this generation is the first generation to experience something called Latchkey Children. And since I was a late boomer, not late bloomer, oh, it was that too, but late boomer, I experienced this. My mom went back to work to make ends meet, and by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, we made a deal. She's going back to work, and I get a house key. And I also got a neat little wallet. That was pretty cool. I got a house key and a wallet. So here's the deal. I'm going back to work. You let yourself in after school. You call me on the phone, and we'll go through your chores, which included making dinner, which included meeting the furnace repairman, which included doing some homework, which included getting in a lot of trouble because no one was around until one of my older brothers got home or something like that. So it was very much a on my own kind of existence, and that would be the case for real Gen Xers who followed me. But that was just a first experience with that. What was in the wallet was a health care card. And this is pretty hot because I thought I had a credit card in my wallet. But what this really was if I got hurt. If I got hurt playing and no one was home, I didn't go home, nobody was home. I went to the health care center about 1.5 miles away. No plastic card, sew me up, send me home. So I'd be patched up before Mom got home from work. That's just a kind of a quick view of what real Gen Xers were like. This generation is a generation of entrepreneurs. So the behaviors you see of this generation look very much like this backpack here, okay? So this is a classic piece of furniture everybody's carrying around with them. But think of every Generation Xer as carrying a figurative backpack like this. Why? Because they're ready to go. They will go. They're changing jobs very frequently, maybe 8 to 12 times in their lifetimes, maybe whole careers, 4 to 6 times, and the numbers keep going up. What's in the backpack is also important. What are these? Sponges. What these represent are skills builders. This generation is going to put in this backpack skills, certifications, anything that's going to help them when they hit the road. And they're going to hit the road. No matter what you say, yeah, 30 years and you'll be vested and you'll get some stock options. It just sounds like Snoopy, you know, the teacher. Wah, 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 wah. I'm leaving, you know I'm leaving, it's just a matter of when. So as long as you're putting skills in my backpack, I'm staying. But when that stops coming in, I'm going to someplace that's going to give me some skills. Also, this generation is great at multitasking. Baby boomers just can't quite fathom how many things this generation can do at one time. Email, downloading, talking, sending messages, writing a report, proofreading, who knows all the things they're doing. And we just can't load them up enough. They like it that way. The other thing this generation absolutely demands is fun. Fun in the workplace. Fun and flexible workplace. That's what they must have. Because they grew up with friends. They grew up seeing their baby boomer parents burn themselves out. And they're not going to do that. For this generation, they are going to work to have a life. Now, even though there's some things still unfolding about this generation, right? Many of them are either just coming out of diapers or they're in their early 20s. That's where this generation is right now. But they're entering the workforce. So we have some patterns of behavior that we need to observe and be aware of and maybe plan for. So those are very interesting. But we need a hat first, don't we, for this generation? Let's see. You might be surprised by this hat. This hat is this hat, okay, but like that. Okay, hopefully this will make some sense to you when we get done talking about the millennial generation. So let's talk about their experience. Their early childhood experience is very interesting. It comes from it's a child-focused experience. And I knew something was up with this generation when I saw, see if you remember this too, when I first saw those little yellow yield signs in car windows that said, baby on board. I said, what is up with baby on board? What am I supposed to do? Go around it like an ambulance, pull off the side of the road? If I'm going to screech into them, do I turn and hit somebody else's car that doesn't have baby on board on the side? Or maybe drive off a bridge and sacrifice myself. There was a baby on board. If this was baby boomers who had this sign in the window, it wouldn't say baby on board. It would say baby in the way. But this says baby on board. My kid's in the car, back off. So this is just the beginning of a very child-focused experience. Talk about soccer moms. We came up with soccer moms for this generation. What's a soccer mom do? Takes Billy to soccer camp. Then he goes to violin practice. Then we go to the SAT preparation. And now it's Monday night. Then we do homework, help them with their homework the next day. If they have 10 minutes in their schedule, mom and dad think they're a failure. It's a very busy, overplanned life. So now we have a new term. We have soccer mom, baby on board. Now we have a new term. It's called helicopter parents. Have you heard of this? Helicopter parents. And when they're really mad, helicopter parents, hovering, watching, ready to help at a moment's notice. No, you can't do that. Wait, that's my daughter there. You can't give her a B. That's a helicopter parent. They also become Black Hawk helicopter parents when they're angry, right? So I want to give you a quick demonstration about that. And I need my phone to do it, so bear with me 1 second. Okay. Hello, University of Richmond Buildings and Grounds. This is Bob Johnson. Can I help you? Oh, well, yes, Mr. Johnson. This is Bob Vanderhooven calling from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Yes, Mr. Vanderhooven. How can I help you? Well, the problem has to do with my daughter's dorm room down there. There's a problem with the carpet. It needs to be ripped out right away. Well, what could possibly be wrong with your daughter's carpet? Is it a stain or something we can repair? Oh, no, it's entirely unacceptable. It needs to be taken out immediately. See, she's moving into the dorm room right away, and you need to make that change. Thank you very much for your help. Just a minute, miss. Just 1 minute, Mr. Vanderheeven. Has she put in for the work order? No, that's why I'm calling, you see, to report the problem and make sure it's taken care of right away. Well, you see, we have a very efficient work order process. We gave it to all the students at student orientation. You know, student orientation for the students, the ones who live here. Well, I'm sure it's very efficient, but we don't have enough time to wait for that because, you see, they're moving in this weekend. And I hate to call the president about this, but it was very helpful the last time I called about those parking tickets. Oh, yes, I'm sure he was helpful about the parking tickets, Mr. Vanderheeven, but, and I hate for you to call him about this. Can you just tell me, though, in fact, all the carpet over there is very new, and we've been able to repair almost everything. Well, that's still not acceptable, because my wife has bought new curtains and new bedspreads, and the colors just don't match. Okay, to wrap things up, I'd like to do a little summary story to help remember some of the principles that we've learned. And the story has to do with, if you'll imagine for a moment, the lunchroom of a familiar workplace, okay? And in this lunchroom, strangely, we have 4 people, coincidentally, 1 from each generation. And someone runs into the lunchroom and says, "There's a bomb threat, quick!" and runs out. Okay, the veteran is the first to jump up. What does she do? Anybody? She might hide underneath the table, duck and cover. That's a good idea. What else might she do? Definitely look for the policy manual. What did we learn from the past that we can apply today? Because I appreciate having order and strong directive leadership. Okay, what's the baby boomer do? Let's see my baby boomer hat from earlier. Children, man, far out. So what's the baby boomer do? Runs for it. Well, probably picks up their cell phone. Honey, I'm going to be late again. I can't do anything around here without me. Okay? What does Generation X do?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. I'm out of here. I'm on the online cafe, monsterboard.com. I have a job in a few days after. I've got a new job. Okay? What do the millennials do?
Call their mom.
They what?
They call mom.
They call mom? That's right. What do I do, mom? We go down and find the FBI headquarters and volunteer to help the team beat the terrorists. Oh, I lost my microphone. Thank you very much for bringing that back in. So that's my presentation of the 4 generations in the workplace today and some hot tips for helping them. Thank you for having me. If you enjoyed the presentation, please tell David thank you. Thank you very much. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Check it out, Wes. Check it out.
It's magic.